The Tyranids are a terrifying and unmatched force in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and their effectiveness can be attributed to their unique biology, tactics, and approach to war. Unlike other factions, the Tyranids do not function as a conventional army. Instead, they are an ecosystem designed for war. This ecosystem operates under the control of the Hive Mind, a vast and incomprehensible collective intelligence that directs every individual Tyranid organism with perfect precision. This seamless coordination ensures that the Tyranids are always greater than the sum of their parts, allowing them to dominate battlefields and overwhelm even the most prepared adversaries. One of the most striking aspects of the Tyranids is their unparalleled adaptability. They are not limited by the constraints of fixed forms or standardized weaponry. Every Tyranid organism is bioengineered to fulfill a specific purpose, and these forms can change to meet the demands of a given conflict. This ability to adapt is both reactive and proactive. When the Tyranids encounter resistance, they learn from it, incorporating genetic material from the biomass they consume to refine their strategies and create new forms of organisms. If an enemy is resistant to a particular type of attack, the Tyranids will develop new bioweapons or creatures designed specifically to exploit that resistance. This evolutionary arms race ensures that the Tyranids remain a persistent and escalating threat to any faction they encounter. The Tyranids' collective intelligence through the Hive Mind is a key factor in their success. Unlike traditional armies, which rely on communication networks, command structures, and individual initiative, the Tyranids operate as a singular, unified entity. The Hive Mind directs the actions of every Tyranid creature with perfect efficiency, ensuring that every movement, attack, and defense is coordinated. This removes any possibility of disorganization or miscommunication, which often plague even the most disciplined human forces. Moreover, the Hive Mind's presence extends to every corner of a Tyranid invasion, ensuring that there are no weak links in their chain of command. Even if one portion of a swarm is destroyed, the rest of the Tyranid force continues to operate seamlessly. The overwhelming numbers of the Tyranids are another critical aspect of their effectiveness. When a hive fleet invades a world, it does so with a swarm of bioforms that seem limitless in scale. From the smallest Ripper swarms to the towering monstrosities like the Hierophant, the Tyranids bring an army so vast that it can engulf entire planets. This sheer numerical superiority overwhelms defenders, no matter how well prepared they are. Defensive lines are crushed under waves of Tyranid organisms, as the swarm's relentless advance leaves no room for retreat or respite. Even if defenders manage to destroy thousands of Tyranids, the Hive fleet can quickly replenish its numbers by consuming the biomass of its fallen enemies and the surrounding environment. This self-sustaining cycle makes the Tyranids nearly impossible to exhaust through attrition. The Tyranids' ability to rapidly evolve their strategies and forms is enhanced by their unique approach to warfare. Unlike other factions which might prioritize territory, resources, or political objectives, the Tyranids have one goal: consumption. Their purpose is to devour all biomass on a planet to fuel their continued expansion. This singular focus makes them immune to many of the pitfalls that other armies face, such as conflicting priorities or political interference. Every decision the Hive Mind makes is geared toward maximizing the efficiency of this process, ensuring that the Tyranids are always operating at peak effectiveness. This clarity of purpose allows them to wage war with a level of ruthlessness and efficiency that other factions simply cannot match. Another factor contributing to the Tyranids' effectiveness is their resilience. While many armies depend on complex supply lines and infrastructure to sustain their campaigns, the Tyranids are entirely self-sufficient. Every organism within a Tyranid swarm is both a weapon and a resource. When Tyranid bioforms are killed, their biomass is not wasted. Instead, it is reabsorbed and repurposed by the Hive fleet. This ability to recycle their own forces ensures that the Tyranids can sustain prolonged campaigns without the logistical vulnerabilities that plague other factions. Furthermore, their bioships, which serve as both transport and factories, ensure that new organisms can be created on demand to replace losses or counter specific threats. The Tyranids also excel at psychological warfare, though not in the conventional sense. Their mere presence is enough to instill terror in their enemies. The Hive Mind projects a shadow in the warp, disrupting the psychic abilities of other factions and isolating defenders from outside support. This psychic suppression leaves planets cut off from reinforcements and weakens the morale of their defenders. For many, the knowledge that the Tyranids cannot be reasoned with or negotiated with, combined with the realization that they face total annihilation, leads to despair. This psychological toll often causes defenders to make mistakes, abandon their posts, or succumb to panic, all of which play into the Tyranids' hands. A critical aspect of the Tyranids' success is their ability to learn and improve with every encounter. Each battle provides the hive mind with valuable data that it uses to refine its strategies and organisms. This constant evolution ensures that the Tyranids are never stagnant and are always prepared for the challenges they face. For example, if a particular enemy tactic proves effective, the hive mind will develop countermeasures to neutralize it in future engagements. This adaptive learning process makes the Tyranids one of the most dangerous adversaries in the galaxy, as they are always growing stronger with each battle they fight. The Tyranids' effectiveness is also rooted in their complete lack of individualism. Unlike other factions, which often struggle with the challenges posed by individual ambitions, egos, or conflicting interests, the Tyranids operate as a perfect collective. Every organism within the swarm is utterly devoted to the hive mind's will, with no thought for self-preservation or personal gain. This selflessness ensures that every Tyranid creature is willing to sacrifice itself if it serves the greater purpose of the hive mind. This level of commitment makes the Tyranids incredibly difficult to defeat, as their forces will never retreat, surrender, or falter in the face of adversity. In summary, the Tyranids are so effective because they are the ultimate expression of biological and tactical efficiency. Their ability to adapt, their collective intelligence, their overwhelming numbers, their resilience, and their single-minded focus on consumption all combine to make them one of the most terrifying forces in the galaxy. They are not merely an army. They are an unstoppable force of nature, a living swarm that devours everything in its path. Their unique characteristics ensure that they are always one step ahead of their enemies, evolving and improving with every encounter. Whether through sheer numbers, adaptive evolution, or psychological domination, the Tyranids embody the perfect predator, making them a nightmare for all who face them. The Tyranids' effectiveness extends beyond their biological and tactical strengths to their role as a truly alien force that fundamentally challenges the conventions of war in the galaxy. Unlike other factions, which are limited by cultural, ethical, or technological constraints, the Tyranids operate with an entirely different paradigm. They are not concerned with honor, ideology, or diplomacy. Their sole motivation is survival through consumption, a goal that renders them immune to many of the weaknesses that plague other factions. This absence of traditional motivations and vulnerabilities allows them to pursue their objectives with a relentless efficiency that few can withstand. One of the most unsettling aspects of the Tyranids is their complete disregard for individuality. While other factions often draw strength from exceptional leaders, heroes, or unique individuals, the Tyranids function as a collective whole. Their strength lies in their unity, with every organism acting as an extension of the hive mind's will. This lack of individuality ensures that the Tyranids are entirely focused on their collective goal, with no distractions or internal conflicts to hinder their progress. This collective approach eliminates any possibility of betrayal, insubordination, or hesitation, making the Tyranids an unyielding and single-minded force on the battlefield. Their biological versatility is not only a testament to their evolutionary prowess, but also a key aspect of their strategic dominance. Unlike other factions that must design, build, and maintain their weapons and vehicles, the Tyranids grow their bioforms and bioweapons directly. This process allows them to rapidly adapt their arsenal to meet the demands of any given conflict. For example, against heavily armored targets, they may deploy bioforms armed with acidic projectiles or powerful crushing claws. Against fast-moving or airborne enemies, they can unleash swarms of flying creatures equipped with ranged bioweapons. This level of adaptability ensures that the Tyranids are never outmatched, as they can always evolve new solutions to counter the strengths of their enemies. The Tyranids' reliance on the consumption of biomass as a fuel source further enhances their strategic resilience. By devouring the organic material of the planets they conquer, the Tyranids can sustain their swarms indefinitely. This cycle of consumption and reproduction creates a self-sustaining war machine that can operate without external supply lines or logistical support. Every battle the Tyranids fight provides them with the resources they need to continue their campaign, making them uniquely resistant to the attritional strategies that might cripple other armies. This ability to replenish their forces from the very worlds they invade ensures that the Tyranids remain a persistent and growing threat, even in the face of significant losses. Their capacity for learning and adaptation extends beyond their biological forms to their tactics and strategies. The hive mind is an unparalleled intelligence, capable of analyzing the outcomes of battles and making adjustments to improve the swarm's effectiveness. This ability to learn from every encounter ensures that the Tyranids are always evolving, not just in form but also in strategy. For instance, if a particular enemy proves adept at defensive warfare, the Tyranids might respond by deploying subterranean bioforms capable of bypassing fortifications. If a foe excels in long-range combat, the swarm might evolve faster and more durable bioforms to close the distance. This constant refinement of tactics makes the Tyranids a dynamic and ever-changing adversary, one that is nearly impossible to outmaneuver or predict. The Tyranids' effectiveness is also enhanced by their impact on the morale of their enemies. The hive mind's psychic presence, known as the Shadow in the Warp, blankets entire star systems during an invasion. This psychic suppression disrupts communication and navigation while also instilling a deep sense of dread in defenders. For Psykers, the Shadow in the Warp is particularly devastating, as it interferes with their abilities and often drives them to madness. This psychological toll compounds the physical threat posed by the Tyranids, making them as much a terror to the mind as they are to the body. The knowledge that there is no negotiation, no reprieve, and no hope of survival against the Tyranids can shatter the resolve of even the bravest defenders. In battle, the Tyranids' swarm tactics are an overwhelming display of their numerical superiority. Waves of lesser creatures, such as termagants and hormagaunts, are used to overwhelm enemy defenses, saturating the battlefield with sheer numbers. These smaller bioforms are often supported by larger, more specialized creatures, such as carnifexes or trigons, which act as living battering rams or shock troops. This layered approach ensures that the Tyranids can apply constant pressure, forcing their enemies to expend resources and energy at an unsustainable rate. Even when defenders manage to hold the line against the initial assault, they often find themselves exhausted and unable to counter the second or third wave of Tyranid organisms. Another aspect of their effectiveness lies in the way the Tyranids exploit the weaknesses of their opponents. The hive mind's intelligence is not limited to directing its own forces. It is also adept at analyzing and exploiting the flaws in enemy strategies. For example, against a foe that relies heavily on fortifications, the Tyranids might deploy tunneling bioforms or creatures capable of scaling walls. Against a highly mobile enemy, they might focus on cutting off supply lines or deploying swarms of fast-moving bioforms to outmaneuver them. This ability to exploit weaknesses ensures that the Tyranids are always fighting on their terms, dictating the flow of battle and forcing their enemies into disadvantageous positions. Finally, the Tyranids' effectiveness is magnified by their inexorable nature. They are not a faction that can be reasoned with or deterred. They do not stop for diplomacy, retreat out of fear, or falter due to setbacks. Every loss they suffer is temporary, as the Hive Fleet absorbs the lessons of defeat and emerges stronger. Their hunger is infinite, and their will to consume is unrelenting. This unyielding determination, combined with their biological adaptability, strategic brilliance, and overwhelming numbers, makes the Tyranids a force that cannot be stopped, only delayed. In conclusion, the Tyranids are effective not because of any single advantage but because of the synergy of their many strengths. Their adaptability, collective intelligence, self-sufficiency, psychological impact, and sheer persistence combine to create a war machine unlike any other. They are a force of nature, an embodiment of evolution and survival taken to its extreme. To face the Tyranids is to confront an enemy that is always growing stronger, always learning, and always consuming. They are the ultimate predator, and their effectiveness lies in their ability to turn every battle into an opportunity for growth, and every victory into fuel for their insatiable hunger.